they doing today? Couple minutes. Guys, come on in. Log into so that way I can see your messages. Oh, hello, hello. Welcome, you beautiful souls. Welcome to our coaching circle. Our Sacred Sunday schedule is often 11:11 on Instagram, and then you'll catch us over here on Odysee at noon and 5 every Sunday Eastern Standard Time. Today, Instagram did block us. This isn't the first time that's happened. Likely will not be the last either. It's happened more and more over the last few years. I'm sure you guys see more of that in your lives too. Different creators that you like to follow, maybe being censored and things like that. So we chose to come over here to Odysee, and thankfully they allowed us to have a beta version of this for when circumstances like this happen. That way we can continue to build our community and share the information we do and connect you guys with each other, because in a world where the dominators want us all to be divided, the real power comes from us staying connected, and it's one of the great things about the internet. Yes, it causes a lot of confusion. It can be a time trap, but there are also these benefits where we get to connect with people around the world with like-mindedness, and I'm, for one, really grateful for that. I'm also grateful for everyone who shows up in our groups and shows up to these events, because it means a lot just to know that you're here, that, whether or not we're on Instagram or not, it really does make a difference. It's beautiful to know that you guys are also open to some of these decentralized platforms, open to these kinds of ideas that, we don't have to follow suit with the monopolies. And I guess, get back on track here, I want to let you know that, this is the right place to be. You're in the right place at the right time with the right coach. This is a great place to be for your self-healing journey, if you're seeking natural alternatives or just community in general. I guess before we dig in here, maybe we'll start with a quick little meditation. Being elemental growth and the name of my business here, I'd like to just take a minute and invite you to join us for an elemental meditation. You just want to get comfortable, close your eyes. As we ground in here, just wiggle your toes, roll your ankles. If you're standing, you can kick your feet. That's always fun too. Brings the energy right into your toes. That's what you want to be doing if you're getting into any of those balancing poses. With each breath in, allow yourself to ground in your energy, naturally releasing, any stress or anxiety, releasing it back to Mama Nature. She knows what to do with that energy, you guys. A couple seconds. Take a breath. Move into the water element. Water helps us tune into our natural flow and emotions. So you will just, maybe go inward for a second. As you take a breath, name 3 emotions. Check in with yourself. What are 3 emotions you're feeling right now? When you have your 3, take a deep breath. We'll move into the next element, fire. This is your gut, your intuition, your willpower. This is where you actually grow through what you go through. Tapping into, that intuition, that gut instinct, a very important element. And one we really have to be cautious of. So take a second here, set your intention, why is it that you're here? What do you hope to get out of our time together? What do you want to get clarity around in your own life? And we'll move into the next element, air. Air is representing our connection to each other. This is moving from the me to the we. This is, our breath, our life of energy. This is the fall season. This is the Libra horoscope. So take a deep breath into your fullest capacity. Fill those lungs, fill that belly. Take the deepest breath you have all day. So your full capacity, just inhale, and then exhale, release all the negativity. Release anything you may have been holding on to, from your day, your week, from your early childhood, from your ancestors, from your dreams. Let it all go. It's this negativity that divides us, and so as we let it all go, we're then able and ready to fill that space with what we really want, with our desires, with our passions, with love, with great people. All right, shake it out, you guys. Well, once you're ready, we can dive in, have some fun together. Apologize, my phone is going off here. Alright. So, today our theme for today anyway is old medicine, the forgotten essentials. So that's what we'll dive into on this call, and then you can meet us back at 5 p.m. for some deep coaching techniques, how it is that you can integrate this stuff, how it is that you can if you are in the coaching space or want to get into the coaching space, if you're just looking to even coach yourself or to coach anybody in your family, this will be a great way to start integrating some of these techniques for yourself and for the other people in your life. For right now, we'll dive into old medicine, and then we'll go into a bit of a Q&A. I do have a list here, and more to come at 5 p.m. as well. So, yeah, old medicine. These really are the forgotten essentials, right? You guys, when we're thinking about it, so often we're talking about natural alternatives. Actually, one of my first businesses before Elemental Growth was called Ashley's Natural Alternatives. I still remember the business card, a girl walking in dirt barefoot. It's beautiful. It had it really resonated with me at the time. But this being said, when we think about it, they're not natural alternatives. These are the original things. These are not alternatives at all. This is traditional medicine, knowing how to tap into the elements, how similar to what we just did there with the meditation, how to grow your own food, all this sustainability stuff. It is the tradition, it is the essentials. And so often we get caught up in the complexity of everything, the complexity of the world. And I still love the Einstein quote of make things as simple as they can be and no simpler. And this is what happens when we get back to nature. And even Mama Nature can be complex, but she's also very simple, very consistent. She's even consistent in her imperfections. I think that's the most beautiful thing. But essentially, and even if we look at how it is that I laid out my book, Elemental Growth, or Be the Change, Your Guide to Elemental Growth, in that book, I pretty much just took nature and I started tracking it for a year. For my whole life, I looked to Mama Nature for answers, for foundation, for stability, because everything in my life was always changing, and I still do really, really well under pressure. That being said, it's because of this foundation. It's because I always had Mama Nature. And when I wrote that book, I took what I did in a year and wrote it out so that you guys could essentially be the change you wanted in a year time too, using the moon cycles and the seasonal cycles as well, the solstices and the equinoxes. And so when we break things down into simple steps, we're able better to hold ourselves accountable. And there are different medicines for different times. I wrote about this in the book too, right? I broke down each chapter into sub-chapters, one of them being on nutrition. And food is, after all, the best medicine out there. Well, actually, let's scratch that. Even as saying it, laughter is the best medicine. We also need water. We also need food. but laughter breaks any intensity, and it is so healing. Uh, yeah, back to the other medicines. So, like what's on our plate, our food. And there's different food for different seasons. This is another thing that we've lost. When we come back to the traditions, when we come back to what's natural, when we come back to the basics, essentially what grows in our backyard is what we need to thrive at that particular time. Kale, for example, is really sweet when it starts getting crispy outside. The kale itself becomes really crispy too, and even sweeter than it is at any other time. You always want to massage kale when you're about to eat it, put that love back into your food. It's a great one to have, and the best time for it is in the fall and even winter months. Even here in Canada, we can grow kale all year long. It's incredible, and you do like pretty much a frame for it. But other cabbages and other vegetables from the brassica family, they are these collard greens. They can survive in the cold climates. When we're looking for greens, this is what we want in the fall and in the winter. In the spring, that's when we want the lettuces. In the spring, that's when we want, the mustard greens and the baby spinaches and all that. And even the sprouts too. The sprouts, eggs, these are the kind of foods you want in the springtime. And so when we come back to basics, we can see that it's actually a diversity that it takes for us to actually thrive. It means working with the seasons. It means over time getting a lot of variety into our gut and diet so that we can thrive. And there's a lot of other essentials here too. Even when it comes to water, like essentially we want a flowing water source. On a spring would be the best thing, not stagnant water that's been in water bottles all of these years. When we're going towards medicine, food being great medicine, but what about the other medicines? What if there's a real ailment going on? A real sickness? What if there's real inflammation that could very well turn into disease, or maybe even already did? Then we need other medicines. This goes beyond the preparation, using food to prepare and prevent. Now we're into, dire need to actually, assist our body in crusading an ailment. So when we're going for these, right, so often people are going to Advil and aspirins and Tylenol, things like this that help with pain. Some others go even further, and that ends up into opiates. Sometimes it's emotional pain, and then that turns into a dependency on alcohol or sex or gambling or gaming, all of these other things. And so when we're coming back to these basics, these traditional medicines, like really just keeping it so simple, right? What it is that you need is often growing in your backyard. This was one of my favorite things when I was in school learning herbology. Was the person that is in dire pain, they've got willow growing in their backyard. The person who's got hormonal issues, they've got clover growing naturally for them. If someone really needs help with their omegas, there's going to be purslane in their sidewalks, in their crevices. If someone's got liver, gut issues, dandelions are going to grow rampant in their yard. This is coming back to basics. This is having gratitude for what's already there growing for you. We've been growing with these plants for a long time. They can sense us and provide for us before we even know anything's wrong. And so if you're in a position where you need to source medicine for yourself, and maybe you live in an area where there's a lot of traffic and you can't exactly go out, or you don't trust your backyard because your dogs are going to the bathroom back there, whatever, people got reasons for not doing this exactly. There are ways to source the same kind of medicine. Find what medicine is calling to you. Find what is still growing there. It's still a sign. It's still a compass to point you into the right direction. There are tons of natural alternatives out there. They're just alternatives to these other medicines that are prescribed willy-nilly. you know, there's not a lot of, okay, coming back to basics here and just being open, truthful here, opening up my throat chakra. A lot of the doctors today are trained by Big Pharma. It's Big Pharma that funds their board of education. So it's not exactly like they're just writing out willy-nilly. What they're doing is what it is that they were told to do, what it is that they were trained, what it is that they invested their money and their time to learn. And now their entire livelihood, their family, their house, their car, their everything is dependent on them doing their job to the best of their ability, and all they know is what they were taught, you know. And when you're taught for so many years, it's hard to start getting into the mindset of, oh, I have an opportunity here to learn whatever it is that I want. Now I'm done school. Now I'm done paying that debt. Now I can continue to learn. You know, people get stuck in this fixed mindset instead of a growth mindset. There are tons of other doctors, though, that are out there that, you know, are working from the inside out on fixing this system, you know, changing the flaws into something that would be fundamentally expansive. You know, there are a lot of doctors that are stepping away from the system today and creating their own system. You know, they didn't fit into the world that's here. They're born to create a new one. And many of you listening can take this on a level in however it is that you need for your own life. You know, there's still work here for you to do, whether you're a doctor or not. Staying on topic here, though, is that, you know, so the way that they were trained is that there's a pharmaceutical for things, and when there's no pharmaceutical, then you send them to a specialist, and then that specialist determines if there's a different pharmaceutical or another intervention. And a lot of the time when they're deciding whether it's medicine or intervention, there is invasive testing involved, which can put a lot of stress and trauma on the body as well. So essentially, if you want to come back to basics, before any doctor visits, before you're even, you know, attempting to go to the pharmacy to get a Tylenol and Advil, before you book that doctor's appointment to figure out why this information is consistent in your body and you get prescribed a bunch of pills, before you go to the doctor's office and start telling them about your emotional trauma and then have them prescribe a medication for you, before any of that would be coming back to your own roots. You know, what was it your ancestors were using? Who are you? What was in your past? You know, what is actually the roots of this problem? What is it that you did to cause the inflammation? What is it that you've experienced in your life that is causing this emotional distress? Both things, whether it's from some sort of a food, a physical trauma, or an emotional trauma, all of that energy gets locked away in our body. And using different herbs, different foods, different breathing techniques, different ways of moving the body, that is all healing. This heals your energy field before any of that inflammation can find a weakness inside of your body and start attacking and turning into any other pain. You know, so it really comes back to you, figuring out who you are. What was it that your ancestors were eating that you're eating different today? You know, what's different in your environment today that wasn't? How can you adjust yourself so that you can adapt in a better way? It doesn't mean you have to go to the Stone Ages. No, we're in a new, you know, time here. A very blessed and privileged time at that. You know, we can use this to our advantage, but we also can use the plants and the fungi and these other tools and modalities to adapt and change with this ever-changing world, with our ever-changing bodies. We're always aging, we're always changing. What we ate one time in our life, we can no longer eat now. The way we used to drink at one time in our life is definitely not how you should be drinking when you're older. You know, the things that you can get away with as a young child, we can't, it's not sustainable. You can't do that your whole life. And so you got to find out what it is you do need to do for you. Yeah, I'm not sure if any questions came through here around this, so I'm just going to keep over. I think we're good there. Alright, so these are essentially the forgotten essentials, the old medicine. If there's anything that you guys want to learn more about here, if you have questions for me, you can email me, ashley@elementalgrowth.org. I'm going to get into the Q&A portion here because I've got quite a few of them. And if any questions come on about this, I can cycle back as well. I wrote them down on paper today instead of going through the computer. I want to try it out. And I appreciate you guys bearing with me because I'm still pretty new to all this stuff. It was really hard for me to even get on camera for a long time. You know, I had to invest in coaches, to break out of that, I guess, social anxiety and things like that. So I really appreciate you guys, being here, having some patience with me as, I get more comfortable doing this and also figure out the tech and, how to make it work for everyone. Where's the natural flow? And that takes making mistakes. That takes messing things up. Essentially it takes the Magic School Bus motto, get messy, make mistakes. So I do appreciate you being here. I'm going to dig into some of these things. The first one here was on angel numbers, whether or not I use angel numbers in my own life, which I do actually also own one special thing that I do. And then I'll share with you why it is that I do it and how it is that it can serve you as well if this is something that's very new and maybe even a little woohoo. Okay? I'm not any I'm not a numerologist or whatever they call that. I'm not an astrologer either. But I have found this a helpful tool in my life. So I'll show you here. I just have a little notepad and I track all of my angel numbers. Whenever numbers of synchronicity or that catch me or that I keep seeing over and over, I look them up and then I share whatever the message is and whatever it meant to me. And then as I scroll through, at the end of the month, at the end of the season, whenever I feel like collecting the data, it actually shows me a story. It's pretty cool, and I get to see how I'm changing with the numbers. So this is a really beneficial way of how I've used it in my life to, I guess, tell my story and stay on course. Use the messages to stay positive, stay upbeat, make sure that I'm checking in with what decisions I'm making and things like that. Because decisiveness, it doesn't come naturally for me either as a Libra, and then, I love being a student of Napoleon Hill, who was very much into outwitting the devil. That means being decisive. That means having a plan. And so, it comes with this this balancing act that I'm consistently doing, which makes sense as a Libra too, being the scales, right? Back and forth. But using these symbols, like looking for the synchronicities in life, tracking them in a sense, has really allowed me the opportunity to make better decisions, to think about my decisions, think about why it is that I'm maybe resistant to making a decision or procrastinating a decision, tracking myself those times when I'm making decisions even too fast, maybe even rash decisions. And speaking on this too, aside from angel numbers, a great resource is Mel Robbins. She speaks on the 5-second rule for making decisions. It was a great tip. She leaves a lot of great tips. Ones I personally use in my life and my coaching practice as well. So you guys can check her out as well for that. But swinging back to the angel numbers, this is just one thing I do. And so when you Google an angel number, or for anybody who doesn't know, what an angel number is if you, are seeing a bunch of graffiti art, or you look at the clock, or you look at, a coffee maker or something that has a timer on it, or you check your phone and these numbers are showing up for you. That would be an angel number. Maybe it's just a random number. Maybe there's nothing to it. I personally love synchronicities. I don't believe that there's such thing as coincidence, that, there is a divine time, reason for things. And so, I was attracted to angel numbers right away. And lately been tracking them for that. And I can later on use them in affirmations and things like that too. I do a lot of fun things with this. I'll give you an example though of one way that an angel number showed up for me and how I used it in my life actually this morning. So I was getting ready for my Instagram Live, which they blocked me from, as I had said before. This isn't the first time that's happened, but I was getting ready for it, and I was sitting in my car having a conversation with a friend, and we were talking about Mexico, and I got a text from somebody in Mexico, another friend of mine, and I'm like, oh, this is weird. So I'm replying back, but also we're having this conversation about Mexico, different places that we can live or travel, and like just, hypothetical questioning, I guess. But in the end, of course, we want to manifest something, but trying to figure it out just by masterminding at first. And then I get this call by the same friend, somebody who hasn't called me in years. Like, I don't even know if we've talked on the phone. I mean, I'm sure we have, but it's definitely been a long time. And so this friend from Canada, Ontario, Ontario, Canada, sorry, here, just like me, and when all the lockdown started, just packed up a few bags, moved down to Mexico, and has been there ever since. And, enjoys the nudist beaches and the parties, because there's, South America is great at that, always keeping everybody in high spirits. And so, I'm like, do I pick up the phone? And then I looked at the time, because I knew I had my Instagram Live coming up, and so I look at the clock, I'm like, do I pick it up or do I not? Because I didn't know how long it was going to go. And I saw 10:10. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I gotta pick this up. Because that means that you're going in the direction of a spiritual enlightenment. 10 being like the perfect number, and you get it twice, you're definitely on the right path. So I'm like, okay, make the decision. I'm picking up the phone, and then I got to ask a bunch of questions about Mexico, and I got a little bit more solidified in making decisions around that as well. So it took one decision to create momentum to be able to at least even have that outlet to ask the questions I was curious about, so I could get real answers, and then to make more decisions. It was just a beautiful alignment of synchronicities that led me to a nice unfolding for the day, and a story that I get to share with you guys. And travel is very important to my heart, so I like to, as much as possible, use synchronicities, use these angel numbers to help guide me. When I backpacked South America, I didn't have a map or a clue what I was doing. I was in bare feet with a 20-liter backpack, a single girl. Like, so not everybody's cup of tea. The way I live life, is not going to be for all of you, but I'm sure if you're showing up, there may be something here that resonates, that you can pick up on and use in your own life, because it definitely makes life more fun. It is fun to be childish a little bit. It's fun to find the magic in life again. And when you're living a fun life, I can guarantee you're going to attract more fun people, and you're going to be enjoying your life a lot more. And if this is just one way to open you up to what's awaiting for you, then please, dive in, try this activity out for a little bit, okay? And just check back in with me too. Let me know how it goes. All right. Next one. How long do mushrooms last? This is going to be a simple one. Let me say too, like, all psychedelics are different, and each one of you is very different too. So the way it's going to be for one person is going to be very different from somebody else. Just as you're aging and growing, it's going to be different for you as a child, you're not using these as a child, but as a teenager, still, a child to me and in my years, but so whether you're, in that coming of age and using it as a rite of passage, which is perfectly fine and been used in cultures forever, long before we are what we are today. So, that's by all means, you're in your teen years, and using that as a rite of passage, that's cool. But as an adult, it's going to be a different experience. As an elder, again, even different experience. This is the same with diet. Every 7 years, your taste buds change. Every cell in your body changes. You're a completely different person every 7 years. Like, it's so in line with the chakras and other angel numbers. The number 7, if you want to check that out. You know, see how many times you've lived 7 and type that in, 77777, angel number, and just see what shows up. It'll be a fun little exercise. So anyway, so to answer this specific question, on average, mushrooms are going to last in your system from 4 to 6 hours. Usually by the 4th hour, you're more in that euphoric, in control of your body, your movements, everything, usually around that 4-hour mark. You know, for me specifically, and this is going to vary again from others, you know, oftentimes within the first hour of working with these medicines, the first hour after I consume, I'm going into yoga. I'm setting my intentions. I'm playing with the medicine and things like that. And then by the time it kicks in, at about 45 minutes to an hour, I am often brought into a sort of hell realm. Either as an empath, I'm picking up on other energies, and also, you know, my own stuff too. You know, I've been to hell more than once, and sometimes this comes out at these times. It's always what I need. It's never more than I can handle. I practice techniques such as yoga and breathwork to make it more meaningful for me as I go through it, instead of terrifying or anything. And then by the time I've moved through that, I'm laughing again. I'm, you know, creating heaven on earth. This is usually around the 4 to 6 hour mark, and then back to me to do the integration work. You know, that's when take all those messages and actually do something with it, because despite what culture says today, information is not power. It's what you do with that information that makes you powerful. So, you know, you can consume, but until you're creating, it doesn't mean much. You know, until you've absorbed it, until you've integrated it, until you've made it into something that's tangible, till you're, you know, scheduling things in and making magic happen in your own mind. You know, that's really what the integration work is, and that's when these real messages come through. This is when the real healing begins. And so I'd like to refer you guys to my article on the Sociadelic website. Sociadelic is a beautiful community. There are tons of resources on there. So if you go to sociadelic.com, you can find me, author Ashley Michaud, and in there you'll find my integration guide for you guys, and you guys can see what steps to take. It even breaks things down a little bit. If you have any other questions around this, you can message me directly, okay? The next one here was, how long do the effects last? Okay, and so this goes hand in hand, as I was just saying, is that the effects are going to last longer. Between 4 to 6 hours is the average, okay? But the effects could last for you much longer because of the integration. It also depends on how it is that you were when you were in that hellish state or in the euphoria, because I've seen it happen both, actually. You know, somebody stays in the hellish state, they can't bring themselves out, and then they're traumatized from a psychedelic experience, or vice versa, they get into that euphoria, but then they stay head in the clouds and they're not really the same. They don't want to come back to body because it's uncomfortable in body. You know, it's not comfortable being a human, feeling all your hormones and emotions running through you, feeling pain. You know, no wonder some people want to stay up and in that energy field and not want to come back into body. But it's great to have that balance. You know, the truth is we are in this body for a reason. The truth is we have this hell for a reason, you know, and it's for good reason. So it's very beneficial to have these tools if you've experienced trauma in your life and this may be coming up for you. Because let me be honest about this too, right? A lot of the hell that I've seen in my life and in my trips has been stuff that I've also experienced. You know, I've experienced more than once. It's just now you're coming back to it as a different person, and you can handle it in a different way. You can handle it as your wiser self, especially if it's childhood trauma. If it's childhood trauma that's caused you anxiety or depression, for example, and you're experiencing that trauma again, oftentimes it's just a sign or a message, an opportunity for you as an adult to be with your child, with that inner child as they were going through it, so that you can be there for support that you didn't have as a child. And so I want to encourage you guys, have this kind of a mindset that it's all happening for you, not to you. You know, you're reliving something for yourself to heal. It's not, because here's the truth too, right? If you're living with anxiety and depression, you're torturing yourself anyway. So at least working with these and having the mindset, I'm going back to be that supportive figure for when this trauma was happening, instead of on some level recreating it for yourself in the real world, in this 3D world. It allows you to rebirth yourself. That's kind of what you're doing in that 6-hour period, is giving birth to a new you. And then from there is all the integration. From there, you're, an infant, and then a toddler, and then a teenager, and then an adult, and then an elder, and it's a beautiful process. But what happens when we're only in the 3D world all the time is that we get stuck in this pattern. Like, there's this poem, you guys can find it on my YouTube, probably here on Odysee too. It's called the Autobiography in 5 chapters. Google it. I didn't write it, I just recorded it for you guys so that it was easier. I know you like that over reading sometimes. That being said, some of you guys like reading too. So, yeah, you guys can find that if you want the written version. But essentially, the Autobiography in 5 chapters goes like this. I walk down, I open my door, I walk out of my house, walk down the sidewalk, fall into a hole. I didn't know there was a hole there. Like, why did this happen? Like, how am I ever going to get out of here? What am I going to do? Eventually, you pick yourself up, you pull yourself out of that hole, you go home. The next day, you wake up, you open your door, you walk out to the sidewalk, you see that the hole is there. You've been there before, you know that the hole is there. You try to go around it, but you fall in anyway. And you're like, oh man, like, why did this happen? I knew the hole was there. Now you're beating yourself up a little bit, and but you remember. There's a remembering. Look, I've fallen in this hole before. I can pull myself out. And so you're able to get out, go back home, wake up the next day, open your door, walk down the sidewalk. The hole's there. You've fallen in twice. You're like, you're going to do your best to avoid this hole. You know it's there. There's no way you're going to fall in. You got this. You fall in anyway. And now you're victim. Now it's like, man, why is this always happening to me? I knew better. Like, and you start blaming, like, anybody else for the hole, essentially, right? And you remember, look, I can pull myself out of this. And you get out even faster. Okay? 4 chapters, this happens again. This time you're angry. And you're like, you're ready to take responsibility. You know how to get out, but you're just like pissed off that this keeps happening. The 5th chapter is you literally walk down another street. Okay? And this is what's going to happen with the psychedelic experience, is you're reliving these lives. You're opening up the door, you're falling in, you're getting messy, you're making mistakes. This is how you master anything in your life. And if you're not doing this work with psychedelics, do it through meditation. Do it through something so that you're not doing it in your life. Because the worst thing ever is to be living your life over and over, living those same traumas over and over in a way that you can't control that. You always can. You can always take responsibility, but if you're in the victim mindset, or if you're angry or over emotional, or you're, blaming somebody else or anything like that, it's all coming down to the same thing. Essentially, it comes down to you not taking responsibility here. So what my ask is for you guys to take responsibility. If you keep dating narcissists, stop. Go down another road. Date a nice guy. Okay? If you are, really anything. If you keep getting in the same fights with your mom, pick another topic. Pick another environment. If it's the same kind of thing with your kids, the same obstacle over and over and over and over again, find another way to communicate. Find a way to take responsibility so you can do something different. What makes psychedelics so unique is they allow us to do this work for ourselves, by ourselves, in a very short amount of time. So by the time it comes to actually taking the action steps, the integration work, the part of the psychedelics that lasts for years and years and years, that you're able to do this with more awareness, more openness, because a lot of these medicines, these old ancient medicines, they're great for opening up the heart. They're great for not only opening it up, but keeping it open so that you can do this work, so that you understand that it's safe to take responsibility, that you don't have to protect yourself because you are divinely protected. Everything that's unfolding for you is for a reason. Everything that's ever happened to you is for a reason. It's made you who you are. And you're not that person who's suffering anymore. If that suffering is continuing, it's because on some level, you're having this pattern repeat. You know, maybe, perhaps this is, the first time that you've ever suffered and, and a very unique experience. That's okay too. There are exceptions to this. If you want to talk about your specific situation, have this conversation with me, I'm definitely open to it. You can email me, ashley@elementalgrowth.org, and we can set that up, okay? Because it's definitely worth it. And that's how long the effects last. They can last for your entire lifetime, okay? It's how willing you are to do the work. Alright, so I encourage you and I invite you to just do the work. The mushrooms are not a magic pill. No psychedelic is a mushroom or is a magic pill. There's no pharmaceutical pill that is a magic pill. Oftentimes if somebody's got diabetes, they're like, oh, here, take this pill for the rest of your days. You've got depression, anxiety, here, take this for the rest of your life. It's like, no. It's nice with psychedelics that you can take it once and have the effects for life. But the truth is, it's not a magic pill. You have to do the work. And if you want to get off of any pharmaceutical medication, you've got to be willing to do that work. Don't submit to what somebody else is going to tell you about your own body. Anything that has ever ailed anybody in their entire life has already been cured. Just find the person who's done it and learn from them. Make their techniques your own because you are unique, but do the work. You owe it to yourself and you owe it to the world, because the truth is we need more people doing this work. We need more people like you showing up. We need more people like you creating a ripple effect so that this entire planet, so that humanity can be happy, healthy, and grateful once again. It hasn't happened in my age, but I hope to see it. I hope to see it unfold that way. Right, so smoking pot versus edibles is the next one. What's the difference between smoking cannabis and eating the edibles? Well, okay, I'm not the cannabis doer like my mom. She was a big advocate. I would love to hook you guys up with her if you're in the cannabis space, if you're using cannabis for healing. Anything. I'd love to introduce you to her. She's the go-to. She knows all the science. She's written the books. She makes the courses. She's the girl you want for these kinds of things. What I'm going to say here is that they're very, very different. Okay? When you're smoking cannabis, it will last for 4 hours approximately. For someone who is smoking cannabis every day, it may only last 20 minutes. The effects are going to last in the body, doing their healing work, but in the mind or for recreational purposes, it may last less and less time. Mushrooms are different from this. Different things vary. With things like alcohol and tobacco and even cannabis here, I find that it does. It does last less and less as if you're consuming more and more. When you're using edibles, this can last even up to 3 days, okay, depending on how much you're taking. For somebody who has cancer, I recommend you try the edibles. Not a candy edible, because candy, sugar may be part of the reason why you develop cancer in the first place, because it leads to inflammation. Inflammation leads to disease, cancers, all that. The basis of every disease is inflammation. So if you can monitor the inflammation in your body, keep it in check, chances are you're just going to be a healing, thriving machine, okay? This said, if you have some serious healing to do, you got some big problems going on that you need to take care of, and you're ready to take care of them, which I hope you are, and that's why you're showing up today. And then try an edible. I know a woman that she stage 4 cancer, a month to live, started working with edibles in it was actually in a tea milk form, and she cured herself. She could do anything now, but she's 86 years old. She doesn't like to do a lot, but I've seen that woman get up and run. She's healed from all cancer. It's just a miraculous thing. Doses that she was taking would put anybody else into a sleepy, paranoid state, likely for at least 24 hours to possibly even days to being fully recovered from an experience like that. So you've got to still appreciate and have reverence for the medicine, okay? Cannabis, no matter how much it's normalized, which I'm grateful that it's being legalized and normalized. But this is a serious medicine. This is very potent stuff. And especially in the way that people are mixing with sugars today and mixing it with, or just breaking it down till it's just pieces, fragments of it, or really condensed versions, but you're missing the fibers and everything else too. It's when you're doing this, you're changing it also. So you have to have reverence for the process. A really great way to have reverence is if you're the one creating it, you're the one making these things. That's something that my mom does and has been doing for many years. She loves she loves having dinner parties. This woman, I love my mom dearly. We've definitely had our very low moments, but she cured herself off of opiates, a 10-year, medicated, bedridden, using a wheelchair, using cannabis. She deserves to be speaking on this subject, okay? Amazing woman enough that she goes still to the extreme on everything, right? So she didn't know how to cook until she was 50. And now, if she's having a dinner party, she cooks everything, but pretty much everything's made with cannabis. In the summer anyway. It's you want a burger? Here, have some cannabis leaves instead of lettuce. And all these things, and there's infused drinks and infused everything. Very beautiful, unique woman. Very also to the extreme. She's the one that you want for these types of subjects. I'm just giving you the lay of the land here. It is different smoking it. Vaping it, I find the effects are pretty similar, but you're ingesting it the same kind of way. When you're doing edibles, somehow when it hits your stomach acid, it turns into a very potent medicine, 5, possibly even more, and that means that the effects are lasting 5 times, maybe even longer. So check yourself before you wreck yourself, folks. And yeah, if you want the hookup, my mom, I'll do that for you too, okay? So just send me an email, message me in the Signal group, and we'll take care of that for you. Next one here. Okay, I recently republished with the help of a great girl on our team, Juliana. Was able to republish an article called Planting Seeds of Positivity. And in publishing this, a few questions came out around affirmation. So I'm going to answer each of them. And then if we got time, we'll get into the last one. Because I know we only got 10 minutes here. I don't know how to share screen on here. So what I'm going to do is just suggest you guys head over. I think under this live feed, you'll see it. Planting Seeds of Positivity. Click on that link. You'll hear the red version that Juliana did. The written version will be posted on the Sociadelic website. If it's not already, it will be soon. And yeah, it's a great little overview of how affirmations work, how it is you can repattern your mind and your life, essentially, just using sacred words of empowerment. Checking the affirmations that you're using daily, which you are already, right? It's like everybody who says they never use a schedule. It's like, I guarantee you I can find your habits and patterns. You're on routine, you just don't know it. It's the same with affirmations. People will be like, oh, I don't believe in that woo-woo stuff. I don't believe in the secret or whatever, or dream boards. It's like, okay, but I guarantee you now, is that like giving me permission that I can like point out every time you're using a negative affirmation on yourself? Because people are using them all the time. Words are spelling. You know, it's the reason why in witchcraft and magic it's called spelling, because you're calling forth, you're conjuring what it is that you want to manifest. So are you manifesting fear? Are you manifesting positivity? Are you manifesting negativity? Are you manifesting abundance? You know, these are all choices, and choice is power, okay? With power comes great responsibility. All right, so the questions that came up around affirmations were, first, we do this thing, I personally do this thing with my coaching clients called a trendy text. So this question came in from a coaching client, wanted to bring it here so all of you guys can gain value from this, because I wrote a little bit about trendy text in the article as well. For anybody who doesn't know, trendy text is a text that my clients send in every single morning that they wake up. There are 3 things that they need to send me. The first one is ants. Ants are automatic negative thoughts. These could also be things that you're scared of, and they do come up, and it is healthy to get them out. You don't want these automatic negative thoughts running around in your brain creating colonies, because that's what ants do. They create colonies and they fester. You don't want to fester it. You want to let that stuff go. No, you're not going to manifest it by talking about it or by writing it out. You manifest it by ruminating on it. You manifest it by attaching really strong emotions like fear or excitement, you know? So get it out of you, kind of like an emotional colonic. Get it out, and then you move on and start filling that space up with gratitude. That's number 2, is the gratitude. All my clients, they have to send me the things that they're most grateful for. Maybe it's the success they had. Maybe it's the sun or the water. Maybe it's, a brag that they have. Maybe they wrote a book, or, they got certified in something, or, quit a habit or adopted a new habit, whatever it is. Then they write out their action steps for the day. So this is what the trendy text is. The ants, getting them out, that emotional colonic, right? Then the gratitudes or the brag successes, and then their action steps for the day, whatever that may be. 3 to 5 things on average that they can do that points them in the direction of their dreams, their greatest desires, those goals that they want to manifest for themselves. And so, yeah, that is the overview of what the trendy text is and why it is that we ask you to send it in every single day. It's very important stuff. It helps you stay accountable. And this was one of the questions too. Talk to me about accountability. I'm skipping forward here, so I'm going to have to, but I guess that's my business. I just got to remember. Okay. So accountability. When you're paying for a coach, like myself, I'm there to help you stay accountable. You're sending in your trendy text. I'm there to, track what it is that you're doing so you can stay accountable to those goals, so you can stay in alignment, to ask you a few questions. If at any time I feel you're off track or something, or I'm just curious about something, I get to, get curious with you and help you stay accountable, help you stay on track. This said, until I had self-esteem enough to invest in a coach, I had to hold myself accountable. That's why I was able to write my book, Be the Change, Your Guide to Unlimited Growth, because I had held myself accountable to many changes. Hello, Finn.
My name's Conan.
Oh, you're Curtis right now? Okay, Mommy's yeah, you have to finish this call. You can sit with me very quietly if you like.
Okay.
Okay? Can you sit there? Oh, look at you, blueberry lips.
Yeah, because I've been eating blueberries.
Yeah? Okay, so how quiet can you, how quiet can you be while mommy finishes this? Oh man, you had dino chips too, eh? Blueberries and dino chips. You guys, dino chips are so good, they're kale chips. You like massage kale with oil and salt or whatever seasonings you want, and you bake them at 250 for 1 hour. Delicious. And it is food of dinosaurs. The kids love them. Great. Okay, back on track here. So accountability. You can have accountability with another person. You can also hold yourself accountable, like I did, and you can find out how I did that through my book, Be the Change. I do offer it to you guys, the ebook version for free. If you want the paperback, you do gotta go get that off of Amazon. But essentially, it's just using the moon cycle as the seasons as my foundation. Yeah. Yeah, I am bigger than you.
Yeah, that's one.
Okay. Another way you can get accountability is by finding someone who's going through the same thing. Okay, I always say, if you're going through an addiction recovery, don't talk to somebody who's never ready to admit their own addictions. Everybody's addicted to something. On average, people are addicted to 8 things. It's just whether or not they're willing to admit it. So if you're not willing to admit, if someone's not willing to admit their addictions, don't find them and use them for accountability, because you're not going to get anywhere. You know, you're likely going to go back to the same kind of addictions. You want to find somebody who's dealing with their addictions or who has already gone through it and been successful. All right, so you find somebody who can hold you accountable in those ways. If you're in our signal group, in our inner circle, in our family, you can reach out to anybody in there. You know, if you're in recovery, send them a message, you know, hey, I'm looking for somebody in accountability for drinking because I finally made the decision and I'm committed and I'm going to need some help. You know, somebody's going to answer that call because there are many people that are on this self-healing journey. And, so happy you ate them all. Why don't you go back down and I'll be there shortly, okay? Yeah, thanks for letting me know. They're pretty yummy, eh? Alright, so that's the bye sweetie. That's the accountability piece. Also, what we end up doing, once you guys have the accountability through a coach, figuring it out for yourself, or finding somebody who's going through the same kind of thing. Once you're sending in your trendy text to me as your coach, or writing it down in your journal, because you don't need me to be able to do this stuff, you guys. You can do it on your own. That being said, there are benefits to coaches, of course. But, you know, if you're not ready to invest in that way, because it is, you know, it's an investment of your time. It's an investment of your money. You know, that means, like, I remember when I was so scared. Even when I invested in nutrition school, I was like, I don't have any money, oh my god. Like, I remember what that was like, but I also remember how freeing it was to let go. So once it is that you're at that point of letting go, ready to invest, like, that's great. You're going to get a lot further, a lot faster, but maybe you're not at that point yet, and that's why you're showing up to the lives instead. In which case, you want to be doing this for yourself. Start holding yourself accountable, or get into a signal group, find somebody to help you in that way. The next thing that we do is we make an affirmation playlist. So when you're working with me, I'm helping you create these out of your trendy text, out of the stuff that you're sharing with me, out of the questions that I'm asking you to, like, help you, I guess, get more clarity about that direction and that purpose in life, you know, getting more clarity on what messages are coming through to you, what work it is for you to do. And so I help you guys make affirmation playlists. In the article and YouTube video there, you guys will see some examples of what these kinds of affirmations look like. And in that, also have the steps in order to do this yourself. Maybe you're recording them and listening to them at night in a hypnotic state. Maybe you're reading them out loud and using a mala bead to hold yourself accountable. You know, there are different things for that. I love malas. When I was traveling South America, that's what I did. However, in today's world and being a mom and things like that, I thought I would tap in and biohack a little bit and tap into that hypnotic state. And I record them and listen to them as I'm sleeping. I turn my phone on airplane mode, usually around 7 p.m. and then I don't turn it back on until around 7 a.m. So in that time is just the affirmation track playing over and over, just quietly in the background, but it gets it really programmed into me. And that way, as I'm changing, moving into the change that I personally wish to become, it's with ease. You know, it's not, there's not a lot of resistance. Like Stephen Pressfield, great author to go check out about resistance. He's got this book, The Art of War, or War of Art, sorry, War of Art. Art of War is a great book too, but War of Art is the one by Stephen Pressfield. He also did one called Go and Grow. And so they're great for learning about resistance and things like that. This is a way to hack that resistance so that it's all with ease. But it also means making decisions. It means making investments into your time and into your schedule and into your routine to be that change. And so, yeah, when you're ready, or if you are ready now, we can dive more into that specific for you. Again, just message me, okay? Ashley at elementalgrowth.org. If you got my number, you can text me too. That's fine. Yeah, anything else is going to have to wait till 5 o'clock, you guys, because, yeah, Finn's already been up here once. Little guys and the sunlights. I'll see you guys back here 5 o'clock on Odysee. I love you all so much. If you want some accountability, let me know. What's one thing that you've taken out of this talk today, this live feed? What's one thing that you want to take and implement? Just let me know. You can text that to me at 1705-956-0647. I'm looking forward to those messages and seeing you back here 5 p.m. I love you all. Bye.